Hello, welcome. You're looking at a 2003 Range Rover L322 model. This is the BMW M62 engine. And today we're going to address the radiator top hose, the cooling hose. It's very important to consider this a wear item. It needs to be replaced before it fails. Some of the wear signs that you'll look for around 80 to 100,000 miles. This slight bulging of the rubber here, it's just fatigued. The plastic fitting where this tube goes into the upper engine block will actually change color. You'll notice it changes to a light brown color, when the original is actually black ABS plastic here. So it's time to replace this before it fails, because when it does fail, typically what happens is internal to this right underneath this fitting, there's a barbed plastic shape on this piece, and it actually wears away. The plastic will begin to degrade from the heat and the coolant, and it will degrade over time. And what will happen is when it fails, this entire top hose will just come rocketing off on its own without warning, and all the coolant will, of course, be lost. So it's time to replace. It's about an $80 item. The part number is PCH001110. And like I said, you can pick it up for about $60 to $80. So we're going to go through the steps now to replace this. Alright, first thing we're going to do, you'll notice I've already removed the engine shroud, the acoustic shroud. It just takes an Allen wrench, 4 Allen bolts, and it lifts right off. Then we're going to remove the intake ducting here. Real simple, flathead. Comes off quite quickly, quite easily. Although, one thing you do not want to forget are these two pipes right here, because they'll break off very easily when you try to remove the entire plenum. So these two pipes need to come off, because careful, this fitting's kind of fragile. I've actually broken mine before. And then you simply remove the ducting. Now we're going to remove the engine fan. You'll need a 32mm wrench. So if you have the right tools, it's quite easy to do. We've got them attached on there, and you simply, with the same rotation, direction normal rotation, which is that way. That was it. Just cracked it. Now it'll spin right off. Alright, now we've got all the hoses undone. The entire assembly will just lift out of the engine bay. We've got the fan out of there. And now you can see where those hoses were clipped into. There are 1, 2, 3 hoses clipped in on the bottom of the shroud. There are 2 hoses clipped in over here. There are a couple electrical components clipped in here, 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 and here. When you reassemble, absolutely make sure every hose goes back in its slot. Otherwise, those hoses will be caught up in the engine fan and you'll have much bigger problems. Now you can begin to see more of what this job is going to entail. What we're going to be doing is removing this hose here from the very top of the radiator, moving the hose from the top of the engine. You're also following this hose down to where it intercepts with the alternator. Yes, the alternator is cooled with engine coolant. And the hose continues down to where it intercepts a junction next to the transmission cooler on the left-hand side of the very bottom of the engine. Now, in order to do this job, we're going to have to pretty much drain all of the coolant out of the system, unfortunately. When you replace the coolant, make sure you use proper BMW antifreeze coolant. It is specially formulated. There's debates back and forth on what you should do, but for me, you know, it costs more, but we are replacing parts that failed, and you know, the system probably needs this coolant. It was engineered after all. So there are a few tricks. You can. I wouldn't never buy this from a Land Rover dealership. Maybe buy it from a BMW dealership. I bought this from a BMW motorcycle dealership, and it was less expensive there. I still think it was like $15 to $17 per gallon, and you'll need a couple gallons. So, you know, it's expensive, but it's peace of mind. Alright, to drain the coolant, we've got a length of hose, length of pipe. It's about a, I don't know, what is it, a 5-6 mil diameter pipe. And you can't see it in the picture, but if you look at the radiator, you find this far right-hand corner here. You go all the way down. There is a valve, and you can attach this pipe to that valve. All right, so we've gone ahead and attached a plastic pipe to that valve right there in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and we've undone the valve. Now we just need to open up the top of the coolant reservoir right there, and the coolant will come out much quicker. Coolant's coming out very quickly now. The system's draining. Kind of help it along a little bit, clear these pipes. I hate undoing them and having coolant spill everywhere. And the coolant's coming out a kind of a honey golden color, which is peculiar because it goes in a blue color. The BMW coolant's blue. I'm not entirely sure why it changed color. I just replaced the radiator a year ago, well, less than a year ago. So I'm not sure why it turned orange, but it seemed to have changed color. Make sure you put the blue BMW coolant back in though. Alright, these hoses are very easy to remove. I'm going to use the replacement hose as an example. Each hose has a clip on it. You'll see a plastic housing and this clip. And all you need to do is take your flathead in here and pop this clip up into the up position, and you'll see that the inside ridges here are cleared. Then you can just remove the hose. And reverse when it goes back on. On and then clip down. See how it locks in place. Alright, we're going to start removing these hoses now. So I've got my flathead screwdriver. Start with this top hose in the radiator. And as I demonstrated before, simply pop the clip in the up position. You should be able to remove this hose, just like that. And we'll do the other ones. Remember, there's one on the engine, there's one on the alternator, and there's one way down, directly down here, right next to the transmission cooler. So apparently I got a little surprise there. I forgot that just draining the radiator is not really going to accomplish, draining all the hoses. There's a lot of coolant still in the engine, so when you remove the fitting on the alternator, went ahead and took the same diameter pipe that was on the radiator, attached it to it, and it's draining down into the collection receptacle below the engine bay there. So just be aware, you're going to get a little messy, so prepare your engine or prepare your garage floor for that, and make sure and try to catch everything. Alright, so we're ready to start refitting. Before we do that though, I want to make a point. This bottom hose, this bottom fitting, when it attaches to a manifold right on top of the transmission cooler, the bottom left-hand side of the engine. Make sure that when you remove it, you only remove this pipe, because I accidentally removed part of that manifold with this pipe. And that manifold comes apart and there's like a one-way check valve inside that it has to be reassembled. So don't do that. Make sure that when you remove it, you just remove this one fitting here. But the reassembly is exactly the same as how you took it all apart. Put everything back together. Maybe you can clean up these fittings a little bit, make sure they're clean and smooth, ready to receive these hoses. Make sure the clips go on fully, and you're pretty much done. Then go ahead and refill the cooling system, making sure to close off the radiator when you refill it. Make sure you get all these hoses in the right place: top hose, engine, alternator, and manifold down there by the transmission cooler. And refill with the proper BMW coolant. Make sure you bleed the system properly, and make sure you're at the proper level before you drive anywhere. And that's pretty much it. Just reassemble everything in reverse. Everything's free, and then the entire shroud will simply push forward. Oh, bitch. Haha, found the little buggers.